In the world's wealthiest country, 1 in 7 adults doesn't know what they'll eat tomorrow. A nation with a defense budget of $877 billion can't guarantee millions of its citizens will have enough to eat. Corporate profits hit records while food prices skyrocket 11% in a year, twice the rate of wage growth. Workers who built this country are forced to count every penny on their fingers. If this is the land of opportunity, why does the American dream start with an empty shopping cart? Today we'll dissect layer by layer, uncovering truths the government doesn't want you to know. This isn't just poverty. It's a machine that turns poverty into destiny. The paradox of working more, going hungrier. A CBS survey shows 2/3 of Americans are financially anxious, and 3/4 say their income can't keep up with inflation. Many say Americans are working longer hours than ever before, yet still going hungry. Contradictory? But that's the truth on every American street corner. Nearly 60% of American adults live paycheck to paycheck. Wages arrive and immediately vanish. Not from wasteful spending, but on basic expenses, rent, gas, medication. In the end, the fridge is still empty. About 2/3 of people receiving food assistance actually have jobs. They're not lazy. They work every day, sometimes 2 or 3 jobs, and still line up at food banks on weekends. Michelle, a 37-year-old teacher, says, "I've been teaching since 2008. I did it out of love. But because of that, people like me have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. After eggs and bacon prices went up, we just eat cereal every morning. After school, I deliver food. $4.50 per order plus tips. Sometimes I even eat my kids' leftovers to save money." She adds, "Most people making decisions for us are wealthy. They don't understand working 2 jobs or buying gas with coins. If they knew ordinary people are just fighting for survival every day, maybe they'd make fairer decisions." Living costs wages can't keep up with. The federal minimum wage has been $7.25 an hour since 2009, meaning for over a decade, everything has gone up except income. During that time, rent rose over 30%, medical costs 40%, not to mention food expenses. Now a full-time job only covers bills, not life. In 2009, working 1 hour bought 5 pounds of beef. Now it buys only 2 pounds. Same effort, but smaller dinner, less protein. When an adult stands at a shelf having to choose between a pack of meat and a tank of gas, this clearly isn't a personal story. It's structural. If working still isn't enough to eat or live, who exactly are we working for? Why does the world's largest economy operate as if scarcity is the default? The real cost of inflation. Media says American inflation has cooled, but prices are still 24% higher than pre-pandemic. Olivia, 70, has less than $200 left after rent. "I can't retire. Social Security isn't enough. I still have to look for work. I've worked my whole life, but can't enjoy my later years." It's heartbreaking. Despite her age, she still moves heavy items, searching for jobs online at the library every day. Food prices jump every time she blinks, so she only buys where it's cheap. In 2022, food prices rose over 11%, the highest since 1979. Some necessities jumped 30 to 40%. Why so crazy? Not just the pandemic or transportation. It's a domino effect. Supply chain disruptions, skyrocketing logistics costs, fuel increases driving up costs at every stage. And food giants controlling the value chain maintain record profits while people cut back on every meal. The consequences aren't numbers on bills. They're battles in every household. Retirees. "My pension hasn't gone up, but milk costs $2 more." Middle-class families forced to replace fresh vegetables with canned goods, fresh meat with frozen hot dogs. Low-income families can only eat instant noodles and sandwiches. In 2025, American inflation isn't an economic concept. It's an empty fridge, a sigh at checkout. That moment standing at the beef counter asking yourself, "Do I really need meat this week?" Most bitter? The system calls it market signals. But for millions, it's signals of empty stomachs. Food deserts. The map supermarkets don't want you to see. Even with money and lower prices, millions of Americans still can't access food. Why? You can buy cigarettes on every corner, but fresh vegetables require a 20-minute drive. This is millions of Americans' daily reality. Welcome to food deserts, places where fresh food barely exists. USDA data shows over 19 million Americans live this way, many in major city centers. They just don't appear on retail companies' profit maps. Why? Money. Big supermarkets avoid low-income areas because margins are thin, choosing instead places where people pay double for organic products. When there's no supermarket, poor people without cars are trapped, relying on small stores where apples cost twice as much and fresh vegetables are rare as snow. The consequences go beyond diet. Cheap food is usually canned, loaded with sugar, fat, and salt, leading to obesity, diabetes, heart disease. As health deteriorates and medication costs rise, food spending continues to shrink, a vicious cycle tightening. In Detroit, a community of 12,000 people has no major supermarket within 3 miles. A resident says, "I have to choose between spending $20 on a ride to Walmart or eating instant noodles for another week." Most thought-provoking. Society celebrates freedom of choice, but for millions, the only choice is high prices, low quality, and poor health. The so-called free market isn't free for your stomach at all. Suburban middle-class families choose between 12 vegetables and 6 meats. Downtown poor families choose between 2 types of instant noodles. The welfare trap, a system that punishes effort. Food deserts are only the physical part. More uncomfortable, welfare policy itself traps the poor in the cycle. Do more, lose benefits. Do less, go hungry. Welcome to the welfare trap. SNAP is America's largest food assistance, about $6 per person per day. The problem? If you earn a few more dollars per hour, you might lose all assistance. Result? Millions face a paradox. Working harder makes them poorer. Welfare systems are designed around income thresholds. Below the threshold, you get support. Exceed it even slightly, and subsidies can vanish completely. This creates the welfare cliff. Workers calculate and find that working 5 more hours per week might cost them hundreds in food stamps, childcare, healthcare, and net income after a raise is actually less. Maria, a single mother in Florida, was offered a raise, but accepting means losing $400 monthly in SNAP benefits that feed her 2 kids. She declined, not because I'm lazy, but simple math. Pride can't go in my children's soup bowls. We call it a safety net, but for many it's a spider web. Once you fall in, you're stuck. Society judges, why don't you move forward, when the law has already built an invisible wall in front of them? Congressional Budget Office analysis shows nearly 25% of low-wage workers have refused promotions or overtime because they fear losing benefits. This isn't laziness, it's survival strategy. If the system rewards staying put and punishes moving forward, poverty isn't a personal choice, it's by design. What would you do? If every step forward means losing your lifeline, would you dare move or stay where it's safe? Social time bomb, the chain reaction of hunger. When millions are trapped in the system, the consequence isn't just poverty, it's a social time bomb. History teaches us, when people can't eat, every empire can fall. America is closer to that line than ever. Today, Americans must spend over 13% of income on food, the highest in over 30 years. From New York to San Francisco, supermarket food theft is surging. In 2023, over 1.2 million students were homeless. These aren't scattered stories. They're signals of a society stretched to its limits. The mechanism is simple. When people can't eat enough, they stop caring about laws, politics, or promises. Trust in the system collapses, and that void is quickly filled by anger or even extremism. Remember history. Most revolutions start with rising bread prices. In Los Angeles, dozens of community fridges appear on street corners, people voluntarily leaving free food. Sounds beautiful, but think deeper. The world's wealthiest society relies on sidewalk fridges to feed the poor. This isn't kindness. It's a sign the system is cracking. The chain reaction of hunger is alarming. The middle class cuts spending, slowing the economy. The elderly withdraw savings, pressuring finance. Politicians exploit anger, turning poverty into campaign weapons. Hunger becomes a problem for the entire economy. We pour billions into defense against external threats every year, while what might actually bring society down sits in empty baskets. A country that can send people to Mars struggles to ensure public school lunches. Think of a pressure cooker heating up. Pressure gradually increases, starting with a slight hiss, but without release it explodes. America is the same. The pot is society itself, and every time food prices rise a few cents, pressure increases. The ultimate question isn't whether the poor have food, but how long society can last before empty stomachs become the fuse. Personal Survival Guide. We can't change the wind, but we can adjust our sails. In the storm, Americans still have ways to protect themselves. Smart budgeting, strategic consumption, track weekly expenses, know where money goes. Shift from emotional to strategic spending, prioritize necessities, cut luxuries. Shop smarter, find deals, buy seasonally, use coupons, utilize local produce. Research shows planning shopping and meal prep can save 20 to 25% on food costs. Redefine security, growing vegetables at home, participating in food exchange communities, cooperating with neighbors to buy in bulk all reduce dependence on volatile prices. Old-fashioned skills like home cooking or planning weekly menus are the most powerful economic vaccines during inflation. Community engagement. No one survives alone. Community food pantries or co-op models not only lower costs, but rebuild trust. When many share resources, costs drop and strength grows. The American dream won't end. The American dream won't end because of high bills or empty fridges. It will restart every time people learn to stand together, speak with one voice, and take back control of their lives. The question is, will you wait for someone else to change everything or start adjusting your sails today? You may never have had to choose between eggs and gas, but that day might not be far off. This crisis isn't just about the poor. It's a test of society, whether we can still maintain compassion, fairness, and unity. Now I want to hear your thoughts. What's the deepest root cause of millions of Americans not affording food? What's the most practical solution? Please leave comments and discuss. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss in-depth analysis of American social and economic issues that mainstream media avoids.